So I'd really like to put out a message today for anyone suffering with anything related to autoimmune imbalance, whether that be severe, disabling, chronic illness, or even smaller things like allergies, food sensitivities, irritability in the body. So there's this idea that probably a lot of us have heard that having an autoimmune condition means that we are attacking ourselves. Our body is attacking itself. Now, while that could be true if you really take it to more of a complex level, in a deeper sense, it's not so. My experience of having gone through a very intense autoimmune journey in which I nearly lost my life showed me that actually something that I've also learned from other schools of thought and holistic healing modalities and really regenerative schools of thought is that actually the things that our body seems to be doing to attack itself are actually signs and signals, messages that have important seeds of information in them. So a flare, what we call a flare-up, for example, I think it's important that we stop thinking about flare-ups as something annoying that our body is doing, and we need to make it go away or stop. It's really easy to get caught in a cycle of feeling extremely powerless and disappointed and overwhelmed every time we have a flare-up. And I fully understand that. My invitation is to actually, though, recognize this all in a broader context. There are very real reasons that aren't our fault, that our bodies have become irritated. Sometimes those reasons are mental, emotional, spiritual, and very often they're physical as well, because these realms parallel each other. And right now we live in a world where there is a buildup of toxicity, both physically in our environment, in our food, in our air, in our water, and emotionally, psychically in our common energy field as trauma compounds. So the invitation is to see these irritable signals happening in the body, not as something silly and stupid, not to gaslight these things, not to think this is something wrong with us. It's a failed apparatus and we need to fix the clock and make sure that it's reading accurately because it's wrong. The invitation is actually that there's wisdom and truth in your body. So just starting with that as a starting place. Starting with that as a starting place, before we can do any work to get in there and unwind and heal and rebalance and transform the particular patterns that are going on alchemically for you, we really have to start by acknowledging the wisdom in what's happening, as painful as it is, as uncomfortable as it is. And when I say that, I don't mean that it's something coming in to give you a lesson. That's the last thing that an autoimmune sufferer needs to hear. I actually do agree from my personal experience with what other energy medicine people have said about autoimmune, that oftentimes it is undigested anger. We really need to make friends with our anger. We really need to not feel ashamed of being angry about the toxicity that has been pressed upon us, whatever form of toxicity that might be. And perhaps we can talk more about what some of those are at another time. But to say, like, starting out with this idea that it's okay to feel angry about that burden, and that it's okay to be curious about the wisdom of our body that is irritated by those things. And that in fact, when we integrate that anger, it can become a powerful boundary that allows us to begin healing. And a boundary not only psychically, emotionally, in the world, in our life, but literally in our body. A boundary, for example, the blood-brain barrier, the cell wall that makes up the lining of the stomach, right? The lining of our cells, right? What we want is to have a lining around the cells, to have a kind of boundary around ourselves as well that is strong but permeable, where what is nourishing can come in and what is not nourishing, what is irritating, what is not in alignment with our highest good and evolution of wholeness is not allowed to pass that barrier, past that boundary. So, where to begin with getting in touch with our anger? I know for myself, it was actually hard to feel it. When I was in the throes and the depths of my autoimmune journey, I honestly did not have the energy to be angry. It would take me days to work up to having the capacity to feel that healthy anger. I would have an alchemical shift, a transformation in which another layer of boundary was formed. And then I would proceed to become extremely exhausted again and have to do a lot of recovery, a lot of nourishment to build up to my next capacity to feel that healthy anger again and use that anger as a tool to help create more of a boundary, and so on and so forth, until I arrived at a place where I could actually have a continuous relationship with my anger, which now, because of the integration, has become not so angry, but more just a sense of confidence and a sense of strength, physically, mentally, emotionally, psychically, spiritually, and what I would call backbone. I think of, is it Brene Brown that talks about having a soft front and a hard back, strong back, strong back, soft front, strong back, yeah, or backbone. So one thing that I would suggest if you're in that position where things are so exhausting that you can't even be in touch with your anger because that feels like too much work, start sort of resting into a place of curiosity about the possibility of having some desire for something better. You might actually be able to take this far. You might be able to deeply drop in and imagine what your life would be like if you had unlimited energy, mobility, strength. I know there were days where I could barely move. I could barely even feed myself. And I would allow my psyche to take me to beautiful landscapes and be bathed in beautiful waters and receive mineral and sunlight and the blessings of certain animals and trees and plants and waters through the etheric realm, to begin to give myself some of the things I was physically unable to access by moving my body and taking it outside or taking it on trips, taking it places. They summoned those resources to me. And we want to find, in the way of organic intelligence, we want to find the threshold that's just right. You may be able to play out a beautiful, powerful scene in which you can see, smell, hear, taste, feel all of the things that would be part of your life, could be part of your life if you had unlimited energy. And by the way, this is energy that's being used in a gentler way by doing it through the realm of the imaginal. If that's too much for you, you could take it in really, really small. It could be something so simple as holding something in your own hands, a shell of a stone, could be letting the sunlight into your eyes. Maybe you do take a journey of imagination and it's just somewhere close by. It's a memory of your favorite scenery of the trees outside your window. Whatever that might be, the point of this, and obviously follow your own intuition because it might not look anything like what I've just shared. The idea is to let yourself get in touch with desire. Just a little something that actually wakes you up out of a stupor of feeling just completely flat, depressed, and powerless to longing. Just a little bit of longing, a little bit of desire. And once you're in touch with that, you can let go or keep, if it's feeling great, the imagery or the evocation, and just track how it's affecting your state, how you're feeling it in your body, in your soma. What does being in touch with that desire do? Does it activate some energy in you? Does it give some space to whatever's compressed? Whatever that might be, just tracking that. And really, that could be the end of this exploration. That could be you giving yourself just a little bit of space to come out of this locked up position that you're in. But if you're feeling ready and interested and curious and excited to be a little bit in touch with your anger or your fight response, which eventually becomes action in the world, you can ask yourself the question, what in my life, what in my thoughts or beliefs, what in my environment, what is it, wherever it might be coming from, that's blocking me from having this experience more fully? It'll be easier to answer this question because you've actually given yourself the experience a little bit. So you actually don't feel so much like you can't have it. You've given it to yourself in the etheric realm. You really have. What is it, though, in a more physical sense? And the answer might not be in the physical world. It could be an old belief system that's actually not tracking in the physical world, where it very well could be something in the physical world, or a combination. But ask yourself that question. And this question might bring up just a tiny bit of a sense of gripping in the jaw, or a sense of grr, or a sense of, if only that thing wasn't in my way, I could have my desire. So my invitation to you, that moment, instead of spinning out into getting upset and compounding on the anger, is just to appreciate the physicality, what it feels like to have this vigor in your body, this sense of I can, like, something's happening that I don't like, and I feel grr about it. I feel a sense of, I want to not have it be that way. Because this is the other side of your desire. You want what you don't want. And as odd as it might sound, because ultimately we will arrive eventually to a place where there's much less of a push and a pull and a like and a don't like. But for now, like, this is aliveness. We are human beings. We don't want a shortcut to some kind of perfect Buddha existence. That comes from walking through the mud, feeling all this stuff, and really finding out who we are. So the invitation is to embrace your anger as aliveness and maybe even develop a relationship where you can ask it what you could do to help it meet its needs through you in your body, in your life. Maybe it means speaking up about something. Maybe it means saying no to something. Maybe it just means acknowledging something that hasn't been acknowledged, giving it space, giving it breath, whatever that might be. And wherever you might be on your journey of recovering or managing or healing from autoimmune challenges, which are quite challenging, I hope that at least this message can be reassuring for you today to know there are people out there like myself and many others who have walked through the fires of autoimmune experiences and learned to develop a backbone and learn to take all of that pain and chaos and find the nose and find the boundaries and find what's truly nourishing and define our lives in a clear way so that the autoimmune completely can quiet down, calm down, and become a very powerful ally in life as opposed to a disabling illness. So I want that for you too. And I hope that this message has been supportive. If you want any further one-on-one support in this work and journey, and you want a guide who can help you pull apart the layers or integrate the layers that are going to help you move through your autoimmune journey and make it into a powerful catalyst of healing, rise above the powerlessness and the disability of it and to a state of power, feel free to reach out. My website is enteringstream.com. And yeah, wishing you so well.